The day before Thanksgiving, we decided to have a little fun looking through the archives from Packers games. Do you remember this? 30 years ago, this month, a turkey ran on the Lambeau Field in the middle of a game. New at 5, Sarah Thompson shows us lots of feathered friends landing at Lambeau over the years.
This is one of those where were you kind of stories. November 13th, 1988.
I was working in 1988. I worked every game back then. It was a good possibility. I was even working on the field then.
Commander Jim Runge is the one remaining member of the Green Bay Police Department working that day when that elusive bird,
There's a turkey, full-size turkey.
trotted onto Lambeau Field between the first and second quarters of the Packers-Colts game.
A fan looking to show his displeasure with the Packers brought a turkey to Lambeau Field.
It was a different time. You know, people carried in whatever they want, food.
But 2 weeks before Thanksgiving,
The gobbler gets loose,
this turkey was not about to surrender,
and he's too quick for Ron Hallstrom of the Packers.
roaming the field, eventually making it to the sidelines. It would have a tough time getting past flight restrictions these days, but back then,
You could bring in pretty much what you wanted, alcohol, turkeys, you know, whatever tripped your trigger.
suffice it to say, everyone, even our own Bill Jarts, had a little fun with that feathered friend.
The pigskin turned into a butterball for the Packers.
And I think the Packers struggled back then. So, I mean, you know, that was probably more entertaining than the game.
We did a little digging in the archives. It turns out Lambeau's a pretty good place to do some bird watching. In November of 1973, a pheasant made its way on the field when the St. Louis Cardinals came to town. An official captured that bird one-handed and politely ejected him from the game. 2 weeks ago, this little fella, what we believe is a hermit thrush, wanted more than a bird's eye view of the Packers-Dolphins game, making itself right at home on the field. But not to be outdone,
That's good form. Springing, yeah, I like that.
a squirrel or two has made a mad dash across Lambeau, interrupting another Packers-Colts game in 2016
And there's your little squirrel friend.
and against the Bucks in 1994, giving a young Brett Favre a chance to practice his hurdling skills.
He got a field pass a day.
Check his credential.
It's all proof. You never know when Lambeau might just serve up a wild game.
What the hell's going on out here?
Sarah Thompson, Action 2 News, Green Bay.
Well, that was fun.
I can tell you Wilson Towski edited that piece from that last soundbite from Vince Lombardi.
I want to know who that young voice was.
That squeaky little voice, that was Bill Jarts when he was the sports reporter.
I wish we had a picture of that. That'd be even better.
I paid it well not to put that on there.
Great story.
From WBAY TV, Bill Jarts and Cammie Rapson. This is Action 2 News at 5. Coverage you can count on.
And I thought about it for a while, and I thought, well, I'll just come clean.
3 decades of wondering and waiting are finally over.
Last month, just before Thanksgiving, we had a little fun with a story about a turkey that was scurrying across Lambeau Field. It disrupted a Packers-Colts game back in 1988. The story grew some legs and definitely got people talking, including those who were behind that infamous prank.
Right, Sarah Thompson finally got to the bottom of what really happened on that chilly November Sunday.
I didn't do it. I know who did. And I ain't telling.
But Trish Karowski is willing to spill all about a man, a turkey, and 30 years of rumors of exactly how this butterball
There's a turkey on the field.
strutted on to Lambeau Field.
My ex-boyfriend had seen that people were releasing pheasants and different small birds, and he decided he wanted to release a turkey.
So that man, who shall remain nameless, picked out a plump 15-pounder at a local turkey farm. But the $20 price tag was a bit steep, so he cut a deal.
But when he told him he was going to release it on Lambeau Field, they sold it to him for $10.
And a stern warning, don't hurt that bird in front of a stadium full of fans. Trish reluctantly agreed to house the hen that night.
I opened up my door and the place stunk. It was just horrible, and now I know why they call turkey foul, because that's the smell it was.
Program, $2.
Game day arrived and he asked Trish to play along.
He wanted me to take it in. He wanted me to look like I was pregnant and carry the bird in. I didn't want anything to do with that, nothing.
Instead, her boyfriend, a beer vendor, put that bird in a box and hid it next to a beer truck. A few hours later, as a ticket holder, he took a seat inside Lambeau and waited. Near the end of the first quarter, he moved the Sleeping Beauty into a bathroom.
When he woke it up, it looked at him and it wasn't real happy. And he's fighting with it. He said there were feathers flying, and he put it in the bathroom, in the stall. So he put it under his coat and walked out, and he's looking at himself to make sure everything was fine. And he said the head popped up, so he tucked that back in. There was a guy standing there and looked at him and then looked away like I didn't see nothing.
Then the moment of truth. He headed for the front row, opened his trench coat, and freed the bird.
And when it hit the turf, its feathers fanned out, and he thought, oh my God, I hurt the bird. And just then it stood up and it started running.
Packer fans trying to gobble up a win have sent a turkey onto the field.
Not wanting to risk a $700 fine,
How do you smuggle a turkey into a stadium? I don't know, and I don't think I want to know.
Trisha's friend didn't stick around to birdwatch,
The pigskin turned into a butterball for the Packers.
but the rest of Packer Nation did.
I was shocked when it hit national news at halftime. I went, oh my God.
A fan looking to show his displeasure with the Packers brought a turkey to Lambeau Field.
Fans named her Henrietta. The governor pardoned her,
And I can assure the viewers that he will not be part of any Thanksgiving dinner.
and the investigation began.
You know, this wasn't a spontaneous thing. This was a planned thing, and how, you know, there was co-conspirators.
For 30 years, it was the cold case. Commander Jim Runge, the only remaining member of the Green Bay Police Department working that day, couldn't crack. Then this month came the phone call and the confession.
Once she was reassured that, you know, we're not going to do anything, she kind of spilled it all out there.
As Runge prepares to retire this week, his detective division had a little fun with it too.
I had to go back there and tell them I had solved a 30-year-old cold case myself, you know, towards the end of my career, so they weren't impressed though.
It's a cute story.
With a happy ending. Once finally captured, Henrietta lived out her days at the reforestation camp.
And I told her, well, you know, in the long run, they did that bird a favor, because at the turkey farm, it was destined for somebody's dinner table.
I went and saw it.
Did you really?
Yes, I did, and they had her with a tom. So there might be descendants there.
But no bird could serve up a tale quite like this,
A lonely man and his lonely turkeys.
ending this cold case mystery cold turkey. Sarah Thompson, Action 2 News, Green Bay.
In the words of Paul Harvey, now you know the rest of the story.
That's there's so many questions that I still have about this, but the best is your voice.
I knew that was coming.